With President Obama well and truly inaugurated, members of the Republican Party have been meeting in Charlotte this week to gather and lick their wounds after those stinging election losses in November. One prominent Republican had some rather sharp words for his party.
Fourth thing we've got to do, we've got to stop being the stupid party. And I'm serious, it's time for a new Republican Party that talks like adults. It's time for us to articulate our plans and our visions for America in real terms. It's no secret we had a number of Republicans that damaged the brand this year with offensive and bizarre comments. I'm here to say we've had enough of that.
Well, that was Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, who wants his party to be known as the Growth Party, as in grow up, presumably. Neil King is a Wall Street Journal reporter in our D.C. bureau normally, but this morning he's in Charlotte in North Carolina. Neil, thank you so much for joining us. You know the mood down there really well. How are people feeling?
You know, it's an interesting thing here. This is a party that's been around for an awfully long time, going back to the 19th century. But when it comes to the mood here, it's almost as if it's at square one. I mean, they got a defeat in the presidential election last year that many of them did not expect. They're now saying, all right, wow, where do we need to start over? Not so much on the principles, not so much what the party's about, but in all of its conversations with a broadening electorate that they're increasingly not that well in touch with. And then just in terms of a lot of the mechanics that campaigns depend on. And one thing you hear a lot here is just almost a reverence now at this point for what the Obama campaign did on the ground, and them saying, here, we need to figure out what they did and learn to do it better.
Let's talk about how they can start again, starting afresh, as you say, square one. A lot of that's going to depend on the nominee. And we're looking particularly, we're going to look now at a quote that really outlines the sort of person that they might want to be representing the Republican Party going forward. Someone who can talk to the heart, who's walked the aisles of Walmart and understands the people there. Is a sense, just picking up on what you've just said about the Obama, the reverence for that, is there a sense that he got that right and they've got that consistently wrong?
Well, the other thing that I've heard a lot of, and Glenn McCall, whose quote you put up there on the screen, said this well, is that Democrats in the last election and in general have just been good at talking to the heart, and Republicans, even Bobby Jindal last night for that matter, continue to talk too much to the head. And even in the speech that the governor gave last night, there was very little of the kind of anecdotal, I met a person and this is what this person said to me, kind of personification of their ideas. And you know, it's interesting, no matter what they do here and what they put forward and what kind of moves the party makes over the next couple of years, it's not going to be complete until they find the person that can embody the party, that is to say their next nominee. And it's hard to overstate how personalized these things are. This is a party that really needs a person to kind of encompass what it's all about, embrace it, and make it new and modern for American voters.
Neil, just looking at this from a slightly outside perspective, I came of age in the UK at a point where Tony Blair, coming into power in 1997, really had to shift his Labour Party from the left to the centre. And then again, you've seen with David Cameron having to shift his party much closer to the centre as well from the right. Is there a sense that the Republicans are just not willing to do what it takes to move slightly towards the centre ground and become electable again?
You know, Clemency, that's a really interesting example. I think the Blair one in particular is a great example. You look back in U.S. history at Bill Clinton. He came along in 1992. The Democrats had really been in the wilderness, and he rejiggered, altered the electoral landscape here in a way that has lasted ever since. I mean, George Bush won twice, yes, but barely. And you know, he moved the party to the middle in lasting ways and in important ways. And what I think the Republicans need is somebody that can come along and fairly effortlessly do that in a kind of cheerful way that doesn't antagonize people in the base of the party, but brings in new voters from other segments, particularly from among moderates. It's a good example. That's what they need. They need the right person.
Well, good luck to them. Neil King, our Wall Street Journal reporter, currently in North Carolina. That story in the paper today and on WSJ.com.